Today's video lesson is going to be about the creation of Metope, and here's a diagram of the Doric architectural order, and you can see the Metope there is this relief sculpture here that's in between the triglyphs. Okay, and so we're going to go ahead and create an object here that's going to simulate this Metope, and it's going to look something like this. We've got a piece of material here that we've applied a decal to, and it's some artwork that I've used painted with paint and then imported it into SketchUp, and we're going to make this apply it to some material like this block. And so in order to do this we've got to go ahead and get some artwork to begin with. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go ahead and look at some free vector art. That's what I typed in Google, free vector art, and then I just look through this list here, and you want to choose something appropriate, okay, for school. And so I chose this item here, and so I clicked on it, and I clicked on it one more time. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. Okay, and so I got to this site right here, and so what I'm trying to do is get a pretty good sized version of this here to go ahead and copy. And so here's where I'm at. And so what I did is I right clicked, save image as, and then there's the name of it, and I saved it to my desktop, for example, or if you have a Google Drive, you'd save it there. I'd save it in a folder called Greek Architecture, something like that, and then I'd just save that. Okay. And that's kind of how you get your artwork. Now our artwork has some problems here, because you can see we've got these watermarks in here, and so we're going to take a look at how to get rid of these watermarks here and make them a little bit more friendly for the painting process. So anyway, I think we'll stop it at this point, and then we'll come back with the next. The next part of this here, we've got our artwork saved, and as I said, my artwork I've created on the desktop here, and here is the item that I just downloaded right there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up a program called G.I.M.P, and I'm going to go ahead and start working with this photograph here to kind of make it more friendly for paint. So G.I.M.P can be found under your toolbar here. It's G.I.M.P, or I've placed it here in my taskbar, and so I'm just going to go ahead and launch that, which I have already. And what we're doing is we're going to go ahead and open this. So we got to do File, Open, and let's see, it was that one right there, and then I open this. Alright, so as I was saying, when we look at this photograph here, we see some artifacts in this photograph that really aren't too good. Like, for example, this watermark here, and a lot of clip art has this here, indicating who worked with it. But not only that, but take a look closely here. You see we had a lot of grays, and we have a lot of whites, and a lot of colors in between, and so we really want this to just be mostly black. The line's mostly black here, and so we're going to do something here to kind of get rid of that. And I think at this point I better stop and go ahead and get ready for the next segment. Back, we're going to go ahead and do some things to go ahead and get this ready. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to the layer here, working with transparency, and we're going to add an alpha channel. Now as I look at the tooltip there, it says add transparency information to the layer. So we're going to work with transparency here, and I'm going to show you how in just a minute, but for now just click add to alpha channel, or add alpha channel. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to clean up some of these watermarks, and we do this through the colors menu, and it's brightness and contrast that we're interested in. And you can see we've got two bars to work with here. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to dial up contrast here. And see, as I'm dialing this shader, this little bar right here, see the watermark, it's starting to disappear. And that's one of our goals, is we want that watermark to disappear. So you see when I fiddle with it, I can get it just to disappear. Okay, and that's good. Now we're going to go here on the brightness side of things now, and I'm just going to go ahead and dial that back. So as we're working with this here, you can see we're doing some funny things to the image itself. And so what we want to do is try and retain the detail of the original artwork, and yet get rid of some of these artifacts that just are not desirable. And so we just kind of fiddle around with that until we get to a good spot. And so sometimes, yeah, you just, and you won't get it perfect. That's the thing I want you to understand. You're just going to have to stop at a certain point and say that's good enough. But we just want to try and dial this up so we can get it looking halfway decent here. And this is mainly so we can use it for paint. And so I think that's about as good as I'm going to get it. And I'm going to click OK. All right. So now that's taken care of. We've done as good as we can do here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and remove the white from this here. So we're going to go up to Layer, and we're going to Transparency again, and then we're going to Color to Alpha. And so this converts a specified color to transparency, and it works best with white. So I click that, see the color white, click OK. And so now what we've done is we've eliminated all the white areas there in our photograph, and so now this is basically transparent. And so at this point we're going to go ahead and add a layer. So all I do is go down here to the right hand side, right click, and I'm going to put a new layer in there. And this layer here, we're going to fill it with background color, and the default color is white. And so I click OK. And now I see our image disappears, and that means that our background color is on top of our image. And so I want to move this background down. And now we have a nice white background here. And so let me zoom out a little bit. So I get the zoom tool again, and I'm going to go ahead and do the control key. Yeah, there we go. And I'm just going to zoom that out. So now I have a pretty nice nice photograph here. And so I'm going to go ahead and save this. There's two saves that we're going to do. A regular save. So we just want to save this here, and you can call it Medusa Clean Background, something like that. XCF, and that's a GIMP file. So that's all good to go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is an export. So I want to go ahead and export this out here. Export as. And in this case here, I'm going to export. We need to do the file type here. So the file type, I think I'm going to choose a GIF image, or GIF image, however you pronounce it. So I'm going to choose that, and we're going to go ahead and give it a name. See, there's the GIF or GIF export. There's the extension right there. So I'm just going to export that out. Alright, export. Okay, and so that takes care of that. So once again, we're going to have to do this in stages here, and that's going to and that's going to conclude this segment here, and we'll pick up where we left off. Alright? So we've done some cleanup work on the image here. I've got an image for us to take a look at. I've saved it here in this folder for this project, and you see I've been experimenting with different kinds of ways to do this. But anyway, at this point now I really want to just go ahead and examine this here with a paint program. So I'm going to right click on this. I'm going to open it with paint. So open with, there it is, and then paint. And so we're going to use several tools to help us accomplish our goals here. So let's go ahead and, this looks pretty good. So let's go in and take a look and get a little closer here to see what's going on with this. Okay, so yeah, not too bad. We've got a lot of white space there. We've got a few little artifacts there where these are just gray, and so that'll pose a little bit of problem. But anyway, so let's go ahead and see what we've got here. I'm going to get a skin tone here. Something like this, and maybe we should edit that color and make it perhaps a little bit more tan, something like that, I don't know, and click OK. And so now what I'm going to do is take the paint can here and just apply it to her face, and so you see, hey, listen, that's not too bad. It did pretty good about cleaning some of this up. And so now what we have to do now is we can either accept this. So, if I zoom back out on this here, and for paint, zoom tool is the right mouse button zooms you out, and the left mouse button zooms you in. So, overall, when we stand back a little bit from this, if I could say that, stand back a little bit, it doesn't look too bad. But you can always clean this up here, and I guess that was the thing I was wanting to show you, is that when I zoom in here, yeah, I can start seeing these pixels, are funny. And so what I can do is I can go ahead and use both of these colors. I've got color 1 here, which is foreground color, and that's with my left mouse button. And I'm going to go ahead and shift my color 2 to black, and that's my right mouse button. And I'm going to take the pencil tool here, and I can start filling in this. I'm right clicking now and coloring in these little pixels here, and it's kind of boring. I mean, it's not really fun. Well, it is if you got plenty of time. And so this is one option for people if you want to go ahead and try and get this looking as good as you can. And like I said, it just takes some patience. Now see, I made a mistake there. So now I'm using this color here with my left mouse button. And see, I can go ahead and do combinations of things and getting those filled in here. And so yeah, this here we're just going to fill in. So I think you get the idea here. You can be as attention to detail oriented as you want with this, and that's kind of one of the things that I'm doing. But overall, this doesn't look too bad. And so let's get back to the zoom tool and a zoom. Whoops, let's go outward. And so now what I'm going to do is just start assigning colors to various parts there, and I'm going to use my paint tool to do it. Let's see what happens here. Oh, that looks pretty good. So what you do is just start, and this is the fun part in my opinion, just start painting away here, just going ahead and doing what you want. And so when you get your object fully painted, make sure you save it, and we'll then talk about how to apply this to SketchUp. Okay, well, good luck. The purpose of this video is to demonstrate how to create, how to import some like a piece of artwork into SketchUp and use it as a decal on an object in SketchUp. But before we do that, I do want to discuss some things about file types and graphic art. So taking a look, let's go ahead and open up this one here. We'll open up this with Paint. Alright, so here's something I started, and this happens to be one of the mistakes that I made. And so as I zoom in here, well, let's take a close look at the pixelation of what the color's done here. Now, when I put this in here, this was just kind of a flesh tone color, but as you can see, when I saved it as a JPEG. Well, it's now become pixelated, which means these little square dots there, and they've pixelated to different colors. And see, this is a problem here, because if I wanted to change the paint color of this, watch what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and change this to, I'm going to use the paint can here, and I'm going to use a different color here. Now watch what happens. Now this should fill in all the way, but look. All it does is it fills in those 3 pixels right there. So that is not really a good situation here. And so what we should do instead, really, when we save our work here, once we get it painted, is we should save it into a different kind of file type, which is called a PNG, a portable network graphic. And what this does, it still compresses your files, but not to the point where it goes ahead and changes your color, pixelates your color. So let's take a look at a different graphic, and this is the one I completed here. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that with Paint, and we'll kind of compare. Alright, so there's the completed artwork there. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can kind of take a look at some areas here. Now, we still have pixelation here. You can see these are just little squares here, but notice the color. The color is uniform here. And then when I want to change the color, all I do here is use my paint can here, and watch. It changes color for the entire surface. So I'm going to undo that. But that's the difference between the file types. You have a JPEG, which is a compression scheme that is called lossy. That means you lose information when you go ahead and compress it, compared to PNG, which is actually a much better file type because it's lossless. That means it doesn't lose picture quality. And so that's one of the big things that I wanted to let you know about before we got too much further on this particular process. Alright, so now let's get back to, let's close Paint. And let's go back to creating something in SketchUp. Alright, so here we go. We've got a SketchUp file going here. I'm going to go ahead and create a block. It's going to be a plaque, like a Metope. And what I'm going to do is just make it, I don't know, let's just something square. I'm using feet here, so our inches, so 25 by 25. And now I'm going to go ahead and give it some height, just like that. So that's a rectangular or a square plaque. And now what I'm going to do is in my materials here, I'm going to go ahead and create a material. So there's my create material right there. And I'm going to use this browse folder. And I'm going to go to the desktop where I store my stuff. And I'm going to look for my completed graphic. And then I'm going to open. And click OK. So now take the I'm going to take the paint can here and I'm going to apply this material. Well, you see as we zoom in here, we've got multiple sizes of this. So I'm going to go ahead and select the surface, right click it, and I'm going to go to the texture here and get position straightened away. Now see, we have pins on here that we can use, and these pins do different things. So this one here is the scale. So what I'm going to do is drag it along this grid line here to make this graphic a little bit larger. I'm being careful not to rotate it also. And now here's the position pin, and so I can go ahead and move it up on my block, and I'm just going to get it dialed up here so it's just a single image on this particular block here. And so it takes a little bit of trial and error here to get it just right. So once again, being careful I don't. Okay, that's too big. Yeah, this one here I may have to change my block a little bit. All right, let's call that good for now.